Chapter 11. What we're going to be talking about is various intermolecular forces and their impact on the properties of different substances. So, I want you to understand the differences between intermolecular forces and bonds. There's a difference between them. In 11B and C, that's sections B and C, you're going to relate kinetic molecular theory to structures of properties of solids and liquids. These sections are going to cover phase changes and calculations to help quantify them. Let's take a look at the chapter itself. Let's see, you're going to be learning about intermolecular forces, and so you're talking about hydrogen bonds and dipole forces. We're going to do, solids, okay, and we're talking about the different crystalline structures. Yep, there we go. Sublimation and deposition, and we're talking about the types of the crystalline structures. So, and liquids, yeah. All right. One of the things I did very early on is I did research as a physicist back when I was in college on crystallographic texturing of aluminum lithium alloys and rhenium metals. And so I would shoot lasers at a material or a metal and see how it bounces off. And based off of those things, I can figure out the crystalline structure of the different elements that are inside of that material. And from that, I can basically see how some of the properties of these materials behave. And so if we can figure out how these crystals or these atoms are kind of aligning themselves in what pattern, it's able to give us the foundation that we need to be able to predict a lot of the behavior that we're trying to accomplish, or we would like to see how it would react to certain kind of stresses and strains and all of that kind of stuff. So that's where we're going to get into a lot of that. We're going to kind of introduce to you at the very end phase diagrams. I'm really a big fan of these. And this is where you're talking about things like, I guess here's a story I'll tell, is I used to do a lot of camping in Hawaii. And one time I was camping up in Mauna Loa, where the Keck telescopes are. And so we were up at the observation deck, and we were really hungry that night. So I decided to make a pot of stew for everyone. But the problem with the stew is, and I like to sear the outside of the meat of the cubed meat, and then slow cook it in a very slow, not slow cook it, but in a medium temperature or a boiling temperature. Have the meat cook for a very long time to tenderize it. The problem is it took about 5 hours longer to cook my food up in Mauna Loa, where it's at a high altitude, than it did when I'm usually camping on the beach. And I guess my question to you as a preview to this chapter is, why is that? Why do you think that is?